think I speak for a growing segment of people whose knee-jerk response to this is show me something. Like I don't see how, if you don't end up prosecuting these guys, you ever recover your credibility.
So recently, Dave Smith railed against the Trump administration for concealing the truth about the Epstein story and how deflections from that story won't satisfy Trump's base, even if it's toward Russiagate, when you expose these criminals in the deep state and Obama of treason and then do nothing to charge them or indict them or hold them accountable for any crimes whatsoever. I want to get Dave's opinion on this, so please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
I think this is something I really wanted to talk about, because this happened late last week. But I did find this interesting. Did you see this Dan Bongino tweet?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So let's pull up this tweet real quick, and I want to read this because I did want to make sure I said this on the show. Because we haven't exactly talked about this aspect of it. Okay, so here's Dan Bongino. He tweeted this out a few days ago. During my tenure here as the deputy director of the FBI, I have repeatedly relayed to you that things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. The director and I are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. It is a priority for us. But what I have learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned.
Dan, tell us, what did you learn? That's what we want to know. You won't tell us. This is just ambiguous, designed, I guess, to placate the masses that are upset over how your organization has handled the Epstein story, and now deflecting to Russiagate when you don't intend to charge these criminals. I mean, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would bet a lot of money that we'll never see any charges toward Clapper or Brennan or Comey or Obama. And Trump's already said, hey, Obama has immunity. There's nothing I can do. But hey, he'll meme about it. He'll send memes out on Truth Social with squad cars following Obama. But no charges, of course.
We are going to conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book and in accordance with the law. We are going to get the answers we all deserve. As with any investigation, I cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you that an honest and dignified effort at truth, not my truth or your truth, but the truth.
Yeah, I can pretty much assure where it's going to land. It's going to land on a hard drive somewhere in the ocean that's been scattered into 1,000 pieces and shattered into 1,000 pieces and scattered to the winds. That's where it's going to end up. Yeah, the truth isn't forthcoming from this administration or prior administrations, I guess, to be fair to them. But this was supposed to be the administration of transparency, and we're not getting that in the Epstein story. So they think they can just throw some red meat out there on Russiagate, which there were some merits to what was released, some new revelations about them. But are you going to hold these people accountable? No, you're not. And guess what? They didn't get blanket pardons from Biden for these crimes, unlike people like Fauci. So you can't use that excuse either. You're not going to charge these people.
God bless America and all those who defend her. Respectfully, Dan.
What about, there was the even worse comment where he said, what I just saw shook me to my core.
Yeah, that was in there. Yeah, that was in. Yeah, did you miss that? Yeah. You know, he said that shook me to my core. We can't run a republic like this. I mean, look, I don't know. I think I speak for a growing segment of people whose knee-jerk response to this is show me something. Show me something, man. Like, people want to believe. People really do want to believe in this. And what you see here is, and this is why, but you know, forget even the clip of Trump today, but just all you really need to know is the point is that Donald Trump's still defending it today. And you know, the idea that they're like, look, it just seems obvious. They're like, we got to get some of that energy back. Some of that, hey, we're getting to the bottom of this. You're so mad about the corruption. I know we've been in for a while and it doesn't seem like we're making moves, but we're making moves. We're going to do this.
Yeah, it seems like his post there on X was basically just an ambiguous, you know, barrage against the deep state, but all talk and no action. It's like my dog. It's like my dog barking at other dogs across the fence. That dog is never going to bite the dog across the fence because it's friends with it, but it will bark at it endlessly. Even if that dog somehow got its toy away from it or its food away from it, my dog isn't going to bite that dog. So my dog's all bark and no bite, just like this administration when it comes to this story and the Epstein story. And it's not immediately clear what exactly he's referring to here, and that's the problem. He won't reveal it. It doesn't seem like what happened in Russiagate could shock him to his core, because he was already on board with thinking that that whole thing was a hoax. He had long done episodes about that when he was a podcaster, and it's not like this Trump administration and the people he's surrounded himself with would be shocked to the core about what they had already claimed and purported about Russiagate. So it just seems like Dan sometimes forgets that he's not an influencer anymore, and like he thinks that this is going to garner a lot of clicks without any information behind it or any payoff. But that's not how the American people work.
But I will just say, I think at this point, it almost, did you ever see there's an episode of Seinfeld? Did you ever see this where George Costanza gets caught in a lie with Susan's parents about having a home in East Hampton?
I don't remember this one.
He lies about having a home in East Hampton, and they're like, oh yeah, and then like he overhears that they think he doesn't really have a house in East Hampton, and so then he invites them out to the house in East Hampton, and then they take him up on it, and then and it's this game of chicken where he drives them all the way out to East Hampton, and then he gets out of the car and they're just like in the middle of this tall grass, and he goes, got to go on foot from here. And then like he's just like constantly putting off like what this inevitable thing, like this is going to have to come to a conclusion at some point, and you're going to be found out for being a fraud if you don't have something there at the end of this.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels between that and this, and that is a lot of the way that dissidents are feeling toward this administration now. Even some of Trump's fiercest supporters having problems with this, like Alex Jones and Candace Owens and Matt Walsh and Tucker Carlson. If you can't get Matt Walsh into your corner as a Trump fan, there's problems here. And every indication is that this is causing dissension in the MAGA ranks and hurting Trump among his base more than anything else. And yeah, Dave's right. There's no payoff here. There's no conclusion, only diversions and deflections. And even in the deflections, they're treating it as the original cover-up, which is the Epstein case. Dangling out this carrot for everyone to chase endlessly for answers, I think rightly so, and then never being paid off. The same thing with the Russiagate documents. They're calling these people treasonous. Trump is essentially calling Obama treasonous and the people involved in this, specifically Comey, Brennan, and Clapper. But again, there's no charges. They wouldn't have to meme about these people if there were actual charges, and that would satisfy Trump's base.
I will say this, that I think specifically with the Russiagate stuff, which seems to be what they are attempting to pivot to. And I don't see how I'm wrong about this, but tell me if you think I am. But I think that Donald Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, and Pam Bondi are now all in terms of their entire reputation, like not their positions of power, but their entire reputation. They are now all in on prosecuting Obama and Clapper and Brennan and Comey. Like, I don't see how, if you don't end up prosecuting these guys, you ever recover your credibility. Because you've now, in order to pivot off of the Epstein thing, you've now said publicly that Obama committed treason. We have the proof and we've sent it to our Justice Department. So you now laid down the gauntlet. Dan Bongino, if you're sitting here, like, this is just my point. If you're saying I'm forever changed by this, well, guess what? We better be forever changed by this too.
Yeah, I'm with Dave on this one. The only thing I might disagree with is I don't think they're all in on charging these people. I think they're all in on theatrics that at least placate the base to some extent by calling these people criminals and calling these people treasonous. But again, I don't think there's going to be a payoff. Now, in a just world, there would be, because that's what the American people expect, especially those that supported Trump through 2 to 3 years of Russiagate hoax madness. But I don't think that payoff's coming. So I guess they are all in to an extent, but I don't think that payoff's coming. I think that their reputations will be tarnished because they'll keep going with this facade that they're criminals, but we're not going to do anything to punish them.
At some point, I mean, like, I don't know how long they have before this shatters, but like, and I think not that long. Like, you got to be making moves toward this, exposing this, letting us know, hey, Dan, what changed? What is this information that changed your life? Do we ever get to know? Because
yeah, show us what changed your life and shocked you to the core. Show us what you learned. You won't. That's exactly right.
I'm just saying, I think in a weird way, they are burying themselves with doubling down on, we're going to drain the swamp. We're going to get to these real criminals in DC. Because like now, if you don't, you're like by your own admission a failure. It's George W. Bush having to admit there were no weapons of mass destruction. Once you admit that, there's no, I mean, dude, you launched a war on those grounds. So that's it.
Yeah, this is so true. Even by your own standard, if you're not holding these criminals accountable after talking about it endlessly for years during the Biden administration, they're, by their own standards, shooting themselves in the foot. It's like sawing off their feet at the ankles. There's no way that they can recover if they don't deliver on this. He's exactly right about that.
You're done now. Tell me where I'm wrong. Well, look, but if this all becomes clear that that's what it is, then like all the people who support them politically should not support them anymore. And I do think they will lose that. Now, that being said, as the point I've made before, and we'll have to wrap on this, but is like the person I see who this actually hurts the most is JD Vance and his presidential ambitions, you know, because JD Vance is kind of left as the only guy in the room who's like, hey, but I need the voters again. You know, like, no, I know what you're saying. Like, Rob, like, yeah, Dan Bongino could go get a nice job and all this. And like, JD Vance could go get a nice job too. But JD Vance wants to be president of the United States of America.
Yeah, he would be the primary person hurt by all this for sure, but also the rest of Trump's agenda would be totally jeopardized. It's not like we're late in his term, and that's just kind of an afterthought at this point. He has more than 3 years left in office, so if this scandal continues to hurt him and the Russiagate hoax where he doesn't prosecute any of these criminals that he's calling treasonous hurts him, it's going to hurt him for the rest of his term. So there's more than just votes at consideration here. But yeah, JD Vance would be hurt immensely for this too. It's not like he's speaking up about this, by the way. He's been very silent since all of this Epstein stuff happened, and, you know, probably rightly so if he wants to be president, which is almost a sure thing.
And I think this is going to be very, very hard for him. He's kind of in an impossible situation. Can't really distance yourself from the administration when you're the VP. So you got to say you defend it. And then when you say you defend it, you're on record. And that's where you were. And good luck convincing people that you're really going to release the Epstein files this time.
Totally right. And if I know Washington journalism, people are going to try to corner him and get him to answer that question alone. What is your thoughts on all this? And if he is defending of it, it will be, you know, a very bad sign to a lot of people who otherwise would have supported him. If he says, hey, you know, not saying there isn't problems with any of this, but I'm behind how the Trump administration's handling it. I can't do a JD Vance voice, by the way, if you can't figure that out. But yeah, that would be very harmful for him if he wants to be president. And look, I'm not a very big JD Vance fan to begin with. I don't have the same views as him on trade, and he's a product of Peter Thiel's Palantir machine. You know, he's not... In Palantir, a story that's basically kind of been buried, is responsible for an effort to aggregate all the data imaginable on individuals and give it to the federal government far beyond what the NSA ever did, and we're just supposed to ignore this and pretend it's fine. You know, JD Vance is a product of the Palantir machine and the Thiel machine, and you know, he hasn't exactly distanced himself from that project, which is an utter violation of the Fourth Amendment and spits on the face of people that care about transparency in an open society. But look, overall, I think Dave's totally right here. These people are shooting themselves in the foot because if they want to get away from this thing, they can't, you know, have promises that they can't deliver on, both on Epstein and in Russiagate. And it's also absurd that the president can sit here and say, hey, the Epstein story, this is just a Democratic hoax, so we're not releasing it. And by the way, it's boring. That's another reason we're not releasing it. By the way, I think it's anything but boring, by the way. And then on Russiagate, hey, we're unveiling all these documents. You know, this was a hoax, but we're releasing it all. And you can see for yourself it was a hoax. Well, the inconsistency between how he's handled that, the Epstein story, and Russiagate is really striking and telling. He's willing to release information regarding that hoax, which was the most monumental hoax, a psyop against the American people to try to frame the sitting president for treason, for colluding with Putin. It was all garbage the entire time. A lot of people that have studied it thought that, you know, from the beginning, people like Aaron Mattei and Glenn Greenwald and others, Max Blumenthal, that studied this in depth. And they don't come from the MAGA crowd, by the way, if that's not apparent. But how they've handled both situations leads you to believe that there really is something they're covering up about the Epstein story. And if they don't deliver on that, and if they don't deliver on prosecuting the criminals they're calling treasonous in the Obama office, they're not going to recover with a lot of their base that supported them for that reason. It's so antithetical to draining the swamp. It's like getting exposed to the swamp and, you know, breathing in that swamp water and becoming a swamp creature. It's not draining the swamp by any realm of the imagination, and that's what we're left with. But let me know what you think below. Do you think Dave Smith's right about this? Do you think that they have to prosecute some of these people for major crimes? Otherwise, they'll lose their support. And what are the ramifications for the Trump administration and politics in general in America? Will Democrats take back both houses in the midterms? Let me know in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also subscribe to Dave Smith. He does great coverage and great stories about things like this. And please consider becoming a YouTube member. If you click the join button below, you can support the channel, which I will graciously appreciate. And in return for that, I'll give you access to all my videos before they go live to the general public on YouTube. And until I see you guys next time, no more war, no more debt, no more inflation, and no more empire. Peace out, guys. Catch you in the next one.